Thank you, Speaker. My question's to the Premier. Last week, the Liberal government reintroduced a 2014 Conservative bill that the Premier herself voted against just last year. Essentially, Speaker, this government is giving well-connected Liberal insiders an early Christmas present by releasing corporate construction giant and major Liberal donor Ellis Don from its 60-year-old obligation to hire unionized workers. Speaker, why is this government putting well-connected insiders and friends ahead of hard-working Ontario families?
Minister of Labour.
Minister of Labour.
Thank you, Speaker, and thanks to the member opposite for the question again. What the member will understand is that there was a private member's bill before the House that would do what the courts were asking the legislature to do, and that was to act on this issue. If you'll recall, the first bill that was before this House would have given everything one side wanted and nothing to the building trades union. What I asked these groups to do as a result of this coming back again from the courts, I asked them to sit in the same room, spend a weekend together, see if they could reach a settlement to resolve this long-standing issue. They were able to reach a settlement within that room. One of the parties was able to ratify that agreement, the other wasn't. And certainly what we are doing today, what we are asking the House to do, is to pass some legislation that gives us the vehicle to allow us to implement a regulation based primarily on what the arbitrator is asking us to do.
Supplementary.
Speaker, hard-working Ontarians know full well this has got nothing to do with a fair settlement, as the minister claims. Despite numerous court appeals, court decisions upholding Ellis Don's obligations, despite tools available to solve labour disputes, we know full well that this is about thanking the Liberal Party's highest donor, quote-unquote, building on great relationships between cabinet members and their insider friends. This is about a Liberal government interfering in workers' democratic rights to—
Excuse me. Stop the clock. I'm listening very carefully, and you're tiptoeing so tight. I'm going to warn the member not to get into an accusation that I know you know is unparliamentary. So carry on and finish, and I'm listening carefully to that.
This is about the Liberal government interfering in the workers' democratic right to negotiate a fair deal with a private corporation. Will the Premier do the right thing and remove this section of the bill and put Ontarians ahead of corporate donors?
Thank you, Speaker, and thanks again to the member for the question. What we have specifically, Speaker, is each and every one of those.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to leave, please. We cannot have people participate in the House business. Observation only. Thank you. Please finish.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the fact is the building trades unions retain every one of their rights in the province of Ontario. What we did is we brought I think, one of the best mediators, one of the best arbitrators in this country, sat down with these parties. They reached an agreement on that weekend. One party was able to ratify, the other party was not. What the arbitrator, Kevin Paquette, has come back to me. He said what we should be doing is we should be framing a regulation to resolve this dispute based primarily on the agreement that was reached on that weekend. I'm suggesting, Speaker, that's the best way forward. It's a way forward that I think protects the interests of both parties in this regard.